planes, trains, automobiles. Which one was a movie written about?
What?
Probably all of them. And all of them individually.
What's happening?
John Candy. All right, welcome to the podcast. What? I mean,
it sounded like it was a lot of things patched together there. Like, at least we couldn't do the words this week. Just throw some words. Candy corns.
How are we all going?
Good.
All good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we got to advertise some gigs before we start the show. We got a fun show for you as always. I will be in
Australia.
Saskatoon. I'm in Australia
You've
right
already
now.
done the Saskatoons.
Come out. All the shows are sold out except for there was an extra show added in Melbourne. The extra show in Perth's already sold out. I think the extra show in Melbourne's already sold out. And there's a few tickets in New Zealand, but not many. So come, don't come. But the people who are coming, I'll see you there.
Great advertisement.
Yeah.
Come, don't come. I don't give a shit.
I've already got people coming.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be at the football. I'm going to be eating meat pies. I'm going to have people coming up to the street telling me I've gotten fat. It's all happening down in Australia.
Down under.
Yeah.
Man to be alive.
What's the first thing you're going to eat when you get there?
Or garlic chicken sandwich with
I
a
love that
spicy
one.
sauce. I'm a big
That's
fan of that.
That one is good.
I might get myself, I'll buy my standard 3 kilos of prawns.
Yeah, you did that. That was the first thing when I went there with you. You got we went to that mall near your house and we got some prawns, as you call them, shrimps, and just mustard sauce maybe or something?
No. Just seafood sauce or some
Seafood
mayonnaise.
sauce, yeah. We just ate them in your kitchen. We were everywhere.
They're
It was
good.
your parents' kitchen. Yeah, it was everywhere.
Bloody good prawns,
Yeah.
mate. I'll just get some cheap ass Australian white bread, which would be the best bread in America. I'm on it.
And then what was that other place with the peas? What was that place that we ate at late night one time?
What, Harry's Cafe de Wheels
Yeah, what is that
with the
place?
pie and mushy peas.
Is that good or was I just drunk?
Oh, it's good when you're drunk.
Yeah,
There's a better pie. There's better pies
both.
out there, but it's a little from column A.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Patreon.
Yeah, follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/IDCat.
Am I not saying it right? I say Patreon. What do you say?
Patreon.
Don't Patreon me. Patreon.
And then we got merch at idon'tknowaboutthat.com. And follow us on Instagram at IDCat Podcast. And follow us individually if you want to see what we're doing in our lives.
Follow Arnie on TikTok.
Yeah, Arnie's on TikTok,
Not yet.
apparently.
Well, maybe he will be by then.
Yeah.
All right, let's start this show.
Okay, please welcome our guest, Sarah McAnulty.
G'day, Sarah. Now it's time to play.
Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though. Judging a book by its cover.
All right.
All right, put the full picture up there for me, Jack. Sarah, you work with animals, correct?
I do.
They're animals that are nocturnal, correct?
Some of them.
Yeah. Are they? We've done reptiles before. It looks like you have a
We
reptile.
did Australian reptiles.
Okay. We've done Australian reptiles. So is it regular reptiles?
Regular.
It's not regular reptiles. No,
It's not reptiles.
It's not reptiles
Not
at all.
reptiles.
not reptiles at all. Yeah, not.
I think he's
reptiles.
looking at the in the background. What's in there?
Yeah, that's a chameleon.
That's a reptile.
Not doing chameleons.
Okay.
Just happens to have a chameleon. there.
There's a dinosaur. It's full size, but it's way in the distance.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. We did
Good,
dinosaurs
good eye.
2
good
weeks
eye.
ago. Yeah. Why don't you ask her some questions?
Okay. Are the animals pets?
They're not pests. Definitely
No,
not.
not pests. Are they pets? Are they domesticated animals?
Also not pets. Also not pets.
Okay. Are they regarded as cute animals that people like?
In Japan, they're absolutely considered cute.
Oh, that's good,
Some other people think that they're cute too. I'm one of the people who thinks that they're cute.
Sarah
Oh.
thinks they're cute.
Are they bigger than a loaf of bread?
Some are way bigger than a loaf of bread, and some are much smaller than a loaf of bread.
Oh, I
You've
say.
probably eaten
You've eaten this.
this
Yes.
before.
Are we talking about fish?
Nope.
Nope.
Are we talking about pandas?
Nope.
Would you eat a
I
panda?
have, yeah.
There's
I've
a type,
traveled.
I can think of like a pasta that would be,
Pigeon.
yeah, pigeon pasta.
Nope.
That's exactly what I was
I don't know.
going with.
Pasta, an appetizer.
Well, no, but
I think thinking about the chameleon and fish at the same time
Yeah.
might be helpful.
There you go.
Is it,
Oh, yeah.
Is it a cum fish? That's a cross between a chameleon and a fish.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
A common fish.
Got it.
What is
Actually,
it?
that's actually in a sense close.
I'm not
phonetically.
getting any
You would have
closer.
gotten this as an appetizer, salt and pepper, or
Oh, squid.
There
They're
you go.
octopuses.
I was thinking
Yes.
Squid Ink pasta.
I've convinced my wife that calamari isn't squid, so I can still eat it because my wife thinks that that squid are very intelligent. We're not to eat them anymore.
what do you tell her calamari is?
It's none of her business.
That's what you tell her calamari is.
Do you eat squid?
I do.
But you also like squids?
I do. I think they're great.
But aren't they?
Yeah.
Aren't they very intelligent? They're very smart, right? I've watched my pet octopus. Like in the 90s, very popular to have a baby squid salad. Remember that? Where you have the leaves and you throw a whole lot of baby squid on. That's like Roe versus Wade shit. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of stillborn squids,
It's
right?
certainly it's veal adjacent, but pigs are also very smart, and we eat them without really thinking twice about it.
I don't eat.
You
Not
don't.
anymore.
I eat a bit,
anymore.
but I eat it on
You
the
love
sly every now and again.
Fake and
Yeah.
pork.
But I try not to. My pig intake's substantially down.
Yeah,
All
but you
right,
like it.
all right.
You did like it.
Oh, I'm a big fan. Yeah.
I think you should be able to eat stuff that's smart. What's wrong with that?
Well, because they might cure cancer or something.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
There's always a chance.
Well,
Fair
let
enough.
me introduce Sarah. Sarah McAnulty is a science communicator and squid biologist. She's an expert on the Hawaiian bobtail squid, particularly how squid and bacteria work together in symbioses. On social media, you can find her at Sarah Macattack. That's SarahMack attack on all platforms. You can find her there. She also has a fact-filled coloring book about cephalopods, the Incredible Cephalopod coloring book. And she runs an informal science education nonprofit called SkypeAScientist.com.
So this is actually how I found her. I stumbled upon this website, and it's so cool. Like you can look up different topics of things that you would want to talk about, and then a list of scientists come up, and then you can request that they do like a talk for your school or anything like that. And so I had emailed to see like, how can I get access to all these experts? She's like, I'm a squid expert. And I was like, yes, let's do this.
Oh, really? So you started this, the Skype a Scientist, or?
I did. Yep, I founded it back in 2017.
Oh, sweet.
And was
It
that a
is
good
really
description?
cool.
What Kelly said, or you want to add anything else?
Totally.
All right.
Yeah. We offer matches with scientists, whether you're a classroom, library, scout troop, homeschooling, family at home, anybody. If you want to talk to a scientist, we will match you with one for free. It can be everybody from psychologists, social scientists, astronomers, squid biologists, pretty much any kind of scientist you need to talk to, we'll get you matched up for free.
So
Okay.
I am leaning on this website a lot now to book guests, which is awesome. So thank you for making my life a little easier.
Of course, happy to help.
And Sarah will also be teaching a class all about squid, just for fun. And if you want to take it for fun in the fall with Atlas Obscura, we'll put links to all of that on the YouTube and on our podcast and stuff. Thanks for being here, Sarah.
Yeah.
All right,
of
so
course.
I'm going to ask Jim some questions about squid, and you can listen to Jim's answers. We'll write them down too, so we remember them. And at the end of answering these questions, you're going to grade him 0 through 10, 10 on the best, on his accuracy, on his knowledge of squids. Kelly's going to grade him on confidence, 0 through 10. I'm going to grade him on et cetera, 0 through 10. If you all those scores add up to 0 through 10, Squid Row.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
11 through 20, Squid Game.
Yeah.
21 through 30, Squiggity Diggity Do.
When you say squiggity doo-dah?
Squiddity? Squiddity
Skiddity
Diggity Do.
diggity doo.
Okay.
Pretty good one.
No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days earlier with a direct deposit. 2 days earlier, that's two more. That's 2 more days to save, pay bills, or generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just getting paid early. It's an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So, what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started at Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/IDK. That's chime.com/IDK. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank at Stride Bank, NA members, FDIC, early access to the direct deposit funds depends on payer. How is that, Jack? Do you want to do it?
Mandatory disclosures. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank of Stride Bank, NA members, FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer.
What he said.
All right. What are squids classified as?
Oh, the sea dwellers.
Okay.
We're in the sea. They have 8 legs. Right? They have 8 legs. You see.
That's a question. Describe their anatomy. How many arms and tentacles? I mean, I'm going to give you that.
Okay, so I think it's 2 arms and 6 legs, and
Tentacles.
I don't know. That's the tentacles. Yeah. I don't know. See, it always makes me confused because like octa, meaning 8, was the same as October, which would be the 10th month. So why is that the 10th month? And then decagon, meaning 10, is December, which is 12. So
save that for our calendar episode.
That throws me all out.
With squids, though. So how many arms and tentacles do they have?
I have 2 arms and 6 legs.
Okay, I keep saying okay. They have 2 arms.
We're not doing tentacles.
Oh, what you mean the actual suckers on their arms?
Don't worry about it.
Next.
Okay,
moving on.
So squids are classified as sea dwellers. And next question: what is a cephalopod?
It's an octopus.
It's an octopus?
Yeah, octopus are
What does it mean? Do you know what it means, or?
It means it's got a head and legs and no body.
Okay. When did they first appear in evolution?
There would have been giant squids back with the dinosaurs. I'm going to say a couple of million years ago would have been our first squid.
How many species of squid are there?
Oh, there'd be many, many, many. No, I would say
10 out of 10.
I'd say a couple of hundred.
Okay. What is the difference between a squid and an octopus?
I believe, this might be wrong, a squid produces ink, an octopus doesn't.
All right. Do they have skeleton squids? If so,
they do not.
Okay. How do they move through the water, and at what speeds can they swim? Squid.
They move their legs like this, and they sort of shimmy and roll,
shimmy?
and then they can go with their legs and push their head back like that.
Yeah.
They push them all at once, and then they do like I'm just moving slowly, and then a bit of speed like that.
How fast they go?
So they go head first. Depending on the thing, I reckon you could get one that goes up to 15 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. What do they eat? Like, what do they prey upon, and how do they find their prey?
Oh, that's a good one. Are they? Do they just eat plankton? Are they? I don't know. I don't think they're meat eaters, but they do seem to capture things and sort of wrap their arms around it and sort of kill it a bit.
Just hugging it.
Yeah, I believe I'm going to say that they kill the things through suffocating them and then they eat it.
Where do they eat it?
At the bottom of the sea.
No, how? What part of their body?
Through their anus, which is also their mouth.
Where's that?
The bottom hole. It's up and underneath in the legs. They push it in that way. It's at the bottom. You don't see it.
What does their mouth look like?
They do have a smiley face, and they sort of.
Do you know what the mouth, what it would be, what it looks like, or shape, or is
it's a mouth, man. What do all mouths look like? Small hole for shoving things in.
Okay. Anything else about the way they eat that you want to add?
They don't use cutlery.
Okay. What eats them? What are the predators of squid?
Sharks and different animals. Any sort of meat-eating fish. And like I saw that with my friend the octopus. They can eat an arm off and the arm will grow back, although the thing will be in a lot of pain, but they can use that to escape.
Okay. Anything, how about their eyes? What you can tell me about their eyes?
They can see 360 degrees.
Oh, good one. All right. What are some unique adaptations of squid? Like, do they discharge ink?
Some do, some don't, but yes, they can.
Okay. And is there anything else like they can do? Maybe
your taxes or
no, like, I mean, can they change colors or camouflage or?
Yeah, they can definitely change colors. They're like a chameleon.
How do they do
that? They replicate the surroundings around them, and they can I'm telling you.
Oh, sorry.
And they can camouflage themselves. Like in my friend the octopus, he would pick up shells and stuff off the bottom of the ocean, stick them on him and stuff like that. So he's like, nothing to see here. I'm the floor, right? They can do things like that, and they can change with the different if they're in a sunny bit of the water or a darker bit of the water, or when they're up against something like a chameleon. But they can camouflage themselves just with objects around themselves.
Oh, but how do they change colors?
I just told you, Forrest, man.
Okay.
LEDs. Camouflage, idiot.
Yeah.
What's the largest squid? Like what's it called? How big is it? And what's the smallest?
That would be a king squid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the giant squid, they call them, giant squids. And they're about the size of you, Forrest.
Okay.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. What about the smallest?
That would be called the little baby squids.
Yeah.
They're about the size, a couple of golf balls.
Couple of golf balls. How do squids reproduce?
Are they eggs or are they fucking? I think they're egg layers. They're egg layers. They have the fucking, and then they lay the eggs, and then they sit on top of the eggs, and then the eggs hatch.
Okay. Do they have hearts? And if so, how many?
I believe they have 2 hearts. They might have 3 hearts.
I like how you think you know this.
No, I do. I've heard this before.
You know, okay.
I've heard this before. I believe 3 hearts. Okay, it's either 2, 3, or 5. I know I'm giving myself a lot.
Okay.
But I'm going to say they have 2 hearts.
1 through 10.
No, 2, 3, or 5 is the answer.
Do you know anything about the giant squid or the Humboldt squid or any other squids? You don't need like facts?
I don't get involved in their personal life. I don't, you know.
We'll talk about it if you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What kind of squid do we eat?
Whatever.
Like in the U.S., let's say.
Whatever they give me, man.
If it's like a specific species, I'm sure you're not going to probably.
Calamari. I eat calamari. Is a popular one. And in South Africa, the calamaris must be massive because they can't give you the rings. They only give you the strips.
Okay. Sarah, how did Jim do in his knowledge of squids? 0 through 10. 10's the best.
Pretty good. I'm going to give it, like, compared to any person that I encounter on the street, I would say above average. I think people who grew up in Australia know squids better than the people in the United States. So I'm going to say a 7.
All right.
Ooh.
Pretty good.
Was it the swimming that got it? Because I thought they got
the
a lot.
Swimming was not completely accurate, but I thought it was pretty good.
You like the act that was good.
I like the arms and legs part.
Yeah.
The raids was definitely, I think, an effective vibe of what squid do.
Okay,
for
7.
Sure.
How do you do in okay? How do you do in confidence, Kelly?
I'm going to give him a 6.5 on confidence.
13.5. All right, I'm just going to give you a 5. So your Squid Game. You like?
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah,
TV show.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's called Squid Game.
The old guy was doing it the whole time. Should have watched it already.
I've seen it.
I did.
No, I'm just saying to people who are listening.
I haven't seen it. Spoiler.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's been out for a while.
Okay. What are squids classified as? He said sea dwellers.
They're not sea dwellers. We usually use the word cephalopods. They're cephalopods.
So you're giving him points based on him not being wrong necessarily, but not.
You know
right.
what? I think not being wrong is pretty good.
Wow.
In this
Much
game.
better than being wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you would have said they
point.
live in fields, you would have gotten no points.
Like, well, no.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is a cephalopod?
Cephalopods include the octopus, squid, cuttlefish, and nautilus. They are a type of mollusk. They all live in the ocean. And they, generally speaking, have a head and then arms up front, and then the rest of their body, like their torso, behind their eyes. So we think of humans as being like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. They're like, legs, eyeballs, butt, torso. It's
just the important parts.
That's what I told you.
Yeah.
Just a head and legs, man.
Different approach to living, for sure.
Yeah, the cuttlefish. I only know the cuttlefish from like Thai restaurants when you get it. Because the first time I ever ordered it, they're like, it's like squid, and you get it, and you're like, this is not like squid at all.
They look a little different.
Yeah. I like it to look like rings. I like food to not look like the animals I'm eating. I'm afraid of it.
That's fair.
Yeah. And a nautilus. Can you eat a nautilus? That's
I wouldn't recommend it. They're borderline or totally endangered at this point. So mostly because we collect their shells because their shells are so gorgeous. Yeah. So don't buy nautilus shells. That's a thing to live by. Words to live by. Don't buy nautilus shells.
I can actually see the chameleon now.
Oh yeah, he's making moves.
He's interesting.
There he comes.
He's big.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
What's his name?
His name's Mark.
Hi, Mark.
I love that.
Hey, Mark.
Never called him Boy George.
We could.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get it. Culture Club.
Yeah.
So when did they first appear in evolution?
A really, really long time ago. So cephalopods, so the animals that led to squid, they have been on Earth for longer than Earth has had trees. So they've been on Earth for an incredibly long time. They've been on Earth for 500 million years. Sharks are about 450 million years old, and trees are about 375 million years old. So cephalopods are incredibly ancient Earthlings.
Do they look different, those species from back? I mean, are they pretty close to similarity? Like they
look more like a nautilus back then. So there were a couple different kinds. They mostly look like spiral shells with like a face coming out the front. And some of them looked more like a traffic cone with a face coming out the front. So their faces, so like their eyes and then their arms haven't changed that much. Still pretty much look like that, but their torso, so their mantle, like the torpedo part of their bodies, used to be inside of shells.
Yeah, the Nautilus, whenever I see a Nautilus swimming, it looks weird.
I had never even heard of that, and I don't think I've ever seen this. I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up right now.
Show the watch? No, it's like the shell. See right there? We can put a picture up, but that's a shell, and then the animal like hangs out of the shell and it locomotes, but it doesn't look like it should be moving. Like that swimming through the water, there's a giant shell and stuff. There used to be like
it's like a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not super fast. They're kind of clumsy, but yeah, they're beautiful.
And how many species of squid are there? Jim said a couple hundred.
About 300.
300.
So nailed it. That's a couple hundred.
Nailed it. Very, very generous.
But she just said I nailed it.
Yeah, I know.
So negative.
Describe their anatomy. How many arms and tentacles? Jim said they had. They have 2 arms and 6 legs.
They've got 2 tentacles and then 8 arms. The difference between an arm and a tentacle is that arms are like pretty muscular, not that stretchy, and then covered in suction cups all the way down to the tip. And tentacles are really, really, really stretchy. They're mostly hidden in between the arms while the squid is, going about its day. But then when it wants to attack prey, it'll shoot them out, grab it, and then bring it to their mouth. So the suction cups are only on the clubs, which is like their hands.
Oh, okay. So that's how manipulates. All right. And then so did we skip the squids and octopuses?
No, you answered it.
Like the difference between a squid and an octopus?
He said a squid produces ink and octopus doesn't.
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, squid and octopus, for the most part, still produce ink. There are a couple really deep sea squid and octopuses that don't make ink anymore because nobody can see the ink. So it's not as helpful as it is in shallow water. But both octopus and squid make ink most of the time. The difference between a squid and an octopus is that the squid has 2 tentacles and 8 arms, and the octopus has 8 arms, no tentacles. And there's like some differences in their internal organs and stuff, but we don't need to get into that. They're generally like octopuses tend to hang out on the seafloor. So they're hanging out in dens. They're just kind of walking around on the ground. Meanwhile, squid, for the most part, are up and swimming in the water most of the time.
So we're mostly eating squid. We're not eating octopus?
Depending on where you live. If you live in Greece or Spain, you're probably eating a fair amount of octopus. Japan too. In the United States, we eat a lot more squid than we do octopus. And when you're eating calamari, it's always squid.
Right.
Oh. And what's the purpose of ink? Is that like
to make pasta with it?
Oh, okay.
Pasta is the main reason. Yeah, that squid making.
They're all chefs.
I tell you what, you have a poo after
it's like
that
Ratatouille,
squid ink.
but under the sea.
After having the squid ink, I didn't know. And then I was like, I had a shit that was so black was Guinness black. And I was like, I was going through all my food. And I was like, something's happened to me. Like, all I did was eat that squid ink pasta the other day. And I had a sandwich. And I was like,
it's a sandwich.
It's the sandwich. Yeah.
What is?
Wait. But I want the real answer of the ink.
No, it was the squid ink. That gave me
okay. Then, I just needed to hear it again.
Yeah. Squid ink is actually really cool. There's a lot of different things that squid do with ink. You mostly think of it as gnocchi. They can make gnocchi with it. Yeah. They shoot like these big clouds, just make like a smoke bomb, but they can also mix it in with mucus and make a little like blob, like a little snot blob that's the same size and shape as them. So if there's a shark or a whale or a fish that's going to attack them, they really quickly make like 7 ink blobs that are about the size and shape of them. And then the predator, instead of having 1 target to attack, has like 8. And then it helps the squid get away. Deep in the ocean, a lot of squid live deep in the ocean, and they kind of have a hard time finding each other. So one of the ways that deep sea squid help each other smell each other out is by releasing these very faint trails of ink. It literally looks like the little squid is smoking a cigarette. It looks
crop dusting ink.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so other squid can kind of sniff and follow the trail and find them.
That's the same reason I masturbate in every room I go into.
Oh, wow.
So everybody can find
smell.
you.
Everyone can find me eventually.
Yikes. Okay. Yeah,
It's not real. It's not real, Sarah. It's a comedy podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how that helps.
Yeah.
Helps find you.
Get
I'm saying.
really,
doesn't
get really
help.
sweaty.
It'll help find me in a murder scene.
You're leaving DNA everywhere you go.
Yeah.
That's right. Leaving an alibi.
What is the ink made out of?
Melanin. And that's about it. And then some like chemicals in there too, like that they can sniff.
And is it ever a fear-based reaction? Like in Finding Nemo, it's like you just made me ink.
100%.
Awesome.
Yes.
Love that.
So Finding Nemo, 100% accurate.
Yes.
Sorry for the big yawn just then. I have a baby at home. I was getting to the end of my day. Babies are hard. You got one of them? They're the worst.
No, I don't.
Oh,
It sounds
don't
terrible.
get one. You don't want one.
Sounds
Don't worry.
terrible.
Stick with squids.
Stick to my squids. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, they're the worst.
She's got a chameleon.
No one's ever been like, "Why are you tired?" I'm a chameleon, kept me up all night. Oh, bloody hell. You wouldn't believe. I woke up, it was complaining, and then I went to look for it, couldn't find the fucking thing.
That could happen.
What happens when a chameleon sits on top of a mirror?
They just they don't do much of anything. I think they know. I think they know. Oh, that's
You thought it was going to turn into a mirror?
Yeah, like
It would just
like
look
it's
all
looking at
silvery.
Life
itself. So how's it? I don't know if a comedian once said this or something, but I've heard this said in people conversation. This isn't my original thought. So if a chameleon stands on a mirror, does it mimic its own look? And then what happens there?
Well, we're talking
I
about
don't know. I
squids.
think it might even be more likely for it to like react as if it's seeing another chameleon. So what do chameleons do when they look at other chameleons? I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Well,
'cause
you
I'm
have a
squid biologist.
chameleon. I assume you have a mirror.
I should try it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could try that experiment. There's nothing stopping me from
let us
doing
know how that
experiment. Sure, I will.
We'll have you on for another podcast.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, Sarah, how'd the
You have to
chameleon
have
go?
a chameleon buzz.
Back to squids. Do they have a skeleton? Jim said no, but he just said no.
No.
That's correct. They don't have a skeleton. Some of them have an internal shell. That's just like an evolutionary leftover. Like we still have tailbones, but sometimes it's useful for other various things. Like cuttlefish, their internal skeleton, the cuttle bone, helps them stay neutrally buoyant, so they're not either floating to the surface by accident or sinking by accident. So that's helpful.
And don't they sell those for birds to chew on? Those,
Totally. Yep. It gives calcium to your pet bird.
Cuddle. I just realized when you said cuttlefish, it's like a cuttle bone. Learning
it.
things that already kind of sort of know. All right. How do they move through the water and at what speeds can they swim? Jim said they shimmy and roll. They whoosh to get speed. Then they shimmy and roll, whoosh again up to 50 miles an hour.
That whooshing is called jet propulsion. So their whole torso is open to the seawater. So they can basically take a big breath in and then close off the area that they breathed in with and then shoot all that water out a very small tube called their siphon. And so that's the whoosh maneuver. And then they absolutely do little shimmies, like little movements with their fins for very fine motions. Maybe they just want to move a little bit forward or a little bit backward. Maybe they're laying their eggs or whatever. So they do both the shimmy and the whoosh, the jet propulsion.
I wonder how often they like overshoot where they're going.
I bet all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
The same amount as us.
Look, I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the amount of people I've watched on Uber Eats where I'm like, you idiot.
Why are you still driving?
Yep.
Yeah, they just go, just kind of really get a little shoot the little water here. And how fast can they go?
I think probably one of the faster squid is the Japanese flying squid. So they shoot themselves out of the water and then glide along the air and then land back in the water. And I think they clock in at like 25 miles an hour. But I think on average, 15 miles an hour is like, that's a pretty good guess. I think that would be a pretty regular
sick.
squid speed.
They go out of the water.
It's like a Red Bull
Yeah.
event. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's
I always think the animals, like animals that live in the water that are able to jump out of the water, not dolphins and whales because they're but the ones that aren't quite as smart, and I know that squid maybe haven't, just what they must be like, "Whoa," they get back in the water. "Whoa."
I've seen heaven, guys.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the same as when you
Extreme
go
sport.
see someone ride a motorcycle and jump up and do a flip and land, and we all go, how does he do that?
It's
just
amazing.
It's the same thing.
It's probably like going to space for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like going to space is a bit much. He's
Why?
just jumped a bit out of the water and he comes straight back
Yeah, but
down.
he doesn't know what the
but
outside of water world's like. He gets
Also,
that split
it's
second.
called jet propulsion. We've got JPL labs
Yeah.
Yep.
that deal with
Holy
rockets
crap.
going to
They,
space.
they go up to 25 miles an hour. That's how fast rockets go.
Yeah.
I think at least
Yeah.
that.
So-
Rockets are allowed to go in school zones. That's
It
awesome.
all checks out. It all checks out. So what do they eat and how do they find their prey? Jim said they just wrap their arms around them and suffocate them. And they eat through their anus, which is also their mouth. They do have a smiley face.
Let's talk about squid anuses. Why not? Let's go there. So the squid anus is actually right inside the siphon. So it's totally different from their mouth. Their mouth is a beak. Their beak is right in between all of their arms. And so when they want to eat something, they could be eating another squid, a fish, a crab, a shrimp. Those are the things that most squid eat. They're shooting their tentacles out, grabbing it. The suction cups on the ends of their tentacles have circles of teeth. So they can like dig those teeth like into the prey. And then they bring it to their mouth. They take a bite. The beaks have venom in them. So it often paralyzes the prey. And then they can just sort of like take their time snacking on whatever it is that they just killed through their beak. And the other weird thing is that the tube that they swallow down their esophagus goes through their brain, because their brain, it just sort of like as a side effect of how they evolved around the tube that they swallow through. So when they swallow, it goes like through a donut hole in their brain. It's super weird.
So when they eat other squid, is it like squids have their own gangs so it's like a rival gang squid that they would be eating? Like how do they know when to protect themselves from other squids?
That's a good question. I don't know if we know. I think a lot of times they'll just eat squid that are much smaller than them, because some squid live in huge groups. The Humboldt squid is one of these squid. And so they're just sort of really aggressive. And if they get too hungry, they're going to choose other animals first, because you'd rather eat something that's not related to you.
Right.
But if push comes to shove, they're very hungry. They might eat a smaller squid in their school.
Now, if they're just a mouth, head, and an asshole, where do they digest the food, and how quickly does it turn to shit?
Pretty quick. It turns pretty quick. So they don't have as complex of a microbiome as we do. So they're digesting pretty quickly. They swallow, it goes back from their head
through the hole in the brain,
stomach, through the hole in the brain, back to like that torpedo shaped part of their body. With the octopus, it basically just goes into what looks like their head, which is kind of weird to think about. They digest pretty quick, and then it comes right out their siphon, right, like under their chin, which is gross.
So they don't. They're shit. It doesn't just come out like an octopus falls out of them or a fish just falls out of them. It looks
like shit. It looks like less solid than mammal shit.
Diarrhea.
It looks like little ribbons. It's like ribbons of poop.
It looks like after you eat cheese.
I don't know what's going on with you.
There's blood in it, is it?
Yeah. You two might need to see a physician. But, yeah.
And so the venom, if one bit like us, a human, the venom kill you?
Most of it would be fine. Absolutely not. There's only one cephalopod, the blue ring octopus, that is like dangerous
that's the
from the
Australian
venom
one.
perspective.
Oh,
yeah,
I know
exactly.
those ones.
Yeah, I'm sure. So,
Are blue bottles part of the same family? Whenever they wash up on the shore, those blue bottles?
Yeah, so they're totally a different thing. So squid are mollusks. So that's like related to land snails, slugs, like all that kind of stuff. And then blue bottles are, I believe, Cnidarians. And so that's like a jellyfish.
Oh, like a man-o-war?
It's a little tiny like jellyfish, and it's blue.
It's got tentacles.
And they can stick on you, and it can give you a nasty bite.
We call them man-o-war. I did growing up. Man-o-wars is what we call them.
Yeah.
But on a bad day in Australia, you'll see hundreds of them washed up, and it's like, can't come on the beach, boys. There's blue bottles.
Yeah, in Florida,
Right.
I got stung really bad when I was a kid by one of those.
Oh, wow.
I've also been stung by a man-o-war. That was rather unpleasant.
And somebody peed on me, and turns out that's not what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do not put fresh water
That was
on
just
it.
a kink.
Happens to the best of us, honestly.
Has a squid ever eaten a person?
So we don't, not like in a super recorded way. I can't promise you that a human has never, ever been eaten by a squid. There are some squid that are pretty aggressive. The Humboldt squid is definitely the one that kind of gets the worst rep for being aggressive. People have sort of told fishermen's tales about getting pulled into the water when fishing for them and then never surfacing again. But there's nothing, definitive that that's happened, but I wouldn't put it past them.
How big is a Humboldt squid, the aggressive ones?
Sometimes they're like 2 feet long. Sometimes they're closer to 6 feet long.
Oh,
The 6 feet but long ones are really big and quite strong.
Squids in general, I'm sure there's different breeds, but in general, are they endangered?
In general, no. Right now, cephalopods are doing pretty well, but with climate change, not to get down on anybody, but there's, when they have like kind of an upper limit on how hot they can handle, and the areas that they can successfully live happy lives in is getting smaller. So for some species, there are a couple species that are doing awesome, often because we fished out all of like many of their predators. So if tuna is like the main thing that eats that species of squid, we've eaten a lot of tuna. And so
good of me to contribute.
The squid, thank you for your efforts. Yes. So for the most part, currently they're doing better than fish are. But we'll see. We'll see how that.
How do we fish for octopus? I assume it's drift nets, or what is it?
That's a good question. So I think they put down like pots, and then the octopus will crawl into the pot, and then they pull the pot up and there's an octopus in it, kind of like a varied version of a lobster trap. But I don't think like fish or like lines are really the way you catch an octopus. You can catch squid with a line and hook, but most squid are caught with I think they're called purse nets. It's like a net that you drag behind. The boats will have sonar so they can find the squid, and then they drive over there and scoop them up with a net.
Yeah, when I was in Mexico, I saw a boat. They said they were catching either octopus or squid, and it was like they had a long outrigger on the front. And they would, I don't know I never watched them do it, but they said they were killing. I don't know. All right, good story. So what eats squids? What are their predators? Jim said sharks, meat-eating animals. So.
For sure. Yep. Sharks, whales eat a ton of squid. Sperm whales can eat up to 700 squid a day. So lots of squid are being eaten by whales, by fish, by other squid. Sharks for sure. Dolphins, that kind of thing, are all eating squid. The nice thing about squid is they don't have bones. So they're really easy to eat, really easy to digest. So if an animal has the opportunity to eat a squid, it's probably going to take that opportunity.
Yeah, it's like a chicken finger. Chicken finger of the sea.
Yeah.
And then 600 a day, you said sperm whales eat?
700.
700?
Not maybe on average, but that's definitely.
It's crazy that they're not endangered when one whale.
I don't feel so bad about eating one now.
Yeah.
That's all tasty.
When you eat three, you're like, that's not so bad. Yeah, exactly. So squid will, each time they lay eggs, they'll lay many, many, many eggs, because one of like their ecosystem services is feeding a lot of other animals. So they have an absurd number of babies.
But so are they smart though? I don't know if we asked that, but.
So animal intelligence is tough. It's just really tough to talk about, because if a cuttlefish looked at you or me, they might be like, that idiot can't even change color and blend in with their background. Like, I'm not at all impressed by us. So there's different ways that animals are intelligent. They can be social with each other. That's a certain type of intelligence. Ants are really good at being social, but we don't really think of them individually as being smart. The octopuses can solve puzzles. They can learn not only from each other, but they can watch another one of them do a task and then learn to do that task just by watching another one do it, which is pretty cool. Squid work together. They can communicate with each other by changing color. So in Caribbean reef squid, which are really, really pretty, you can see them when you're snorkeling. They're very curious. They're very cute. They have a very specific, complicated, like flashing light pattern system in order to mate with each other. And so that's smart. I mean, having that complex of a mating ritual is a sort of intelligence. So I think they're smarter than a slug or a garden snail for sure. Are they as smart as an orca? Probably not. But
that dog.
Oh, that's tough. Depends on the dog.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
I know a lot of dumb dogs.
Yeah. But I mean, cuttlefish for sure can like solve mazes and can learn symbols and what those symbols mean. And so cuttlefish are smart.
Yeah. Because octopus, I know some of them. Didn't I see a video where one came out of a tank and went into another tank and was like.
Yeah, they're like shape artists.
Yeah.
Did a New York Times crossword puzzle or something.
One drove a truck and Finding Dory. It's nuts what they can do.
Yeah, there we go.
Octopuses are also very impressive.
You watched Finding Dory?
Yeah.
What, you didn't?
I did not.
Why wouldn't you?
Add it to your list.
Because it's years later since Finding Nemo. Like you would have been adults, both of you.
Yeah.
So it's Pixar.
I watch animated movies all the time.
I have a B-movie poster on the wall. Of course I'm going to see Finding Dory.
Yeah.
An octopus is my next tattoo on my ocean arm.
Ooh.
Awesome.
My
What?
ocean arm.
What are some unique adaptations of some squid? Jim said they can do your taxes. They can also change colors and replicate their surroundings and cover themselves with shells.
Yes. So some squid have the ability to secrete glue from their skin. So they can literally take like shells and
do arts and crafts.
And do arts and crafts.
scrapbooking.
They can make an entire decoupage.
Give them a box of
yeah.
macaroni. They'll fucking dip you a bit
Look
of
out. Look out. They'll
follow
definitely
on Etsy.
rival your
Yeah.
5-year-old. That's right. Yeah. So, but yeah, they can, okay. So they can make underwater glue. That's pretty impressive. But they have especially the deep sea squid have so many weird approaches to life. There's this one squid called the Strawberry Squid that has one like regular sized eye and one gigantic, like stick out of its head globe, very weird looking eye. And the reason it has these two very different eyes, one is for looking at bioluminescence, so light produced by animals in the direct surrounding area. The other one is looking up, looking at the very faint differences in light from like the silhouettes of animals swimming above and the light coming down from the sun. They live so deep in the ocean that there's very little light around. So they have to amplify as much light as they can, which is why you have this big goofy eye and one little eye. So that's a cool adaptation. The color changing is really amazing. They have multiple layers of color changing ability. They have chromatophores, which are basically like little tiny spheres of pigment that are surrounded by muscles. They contract the muscles and the itty bitty sphere turns into a big wide pancake. And that's how they change color really quickly. Each one of those little structures is directly linked to their brain, so they can change color as quickly as they can think about changing color. Chameleons over here can only change as quickly as their hormones shift, which takes way, way, way longer, which is pretty cool. Under that, they have what's called Erytifors, which are these like glittery, sparkly structures that they also use to change color. That's responsible for the more like green, blue, sparkly parts of squid. And some of them have what's called a leucophore, which is just like a bike reflector. It's like whatever light you shine at it, it'll shine directly back in that same color, which is useful in some situations. They also have these things called papillae. Papillae are like extreme goosebumps. So they stick up and can help the animal look spiky or like a, and so maybe if they want to look like a piece of algae, they make themselves the color of the algae and the texture of the algae, which is very, very cool. Also can be very quick.
Yeah. So that's weird how they would have to, so they'd be like, oh, this is this color and this texture. And then they know exactly how to contract. They have to learn that, I'm assuming, right? Yeah.
It's really amazing. So we think one of the reasons they have such big brains for their body size is that they have to coordinate all of that all the time. One of the things that some cephalopods do when they're hunting is this maneuver called passing cloud. It's where they move this black band of color across their bodies. It looks like a hypnotist wheel. It is wild to watch. And they're able to do this really, really quick. And how they coordinate that between their brain cells and their skin cells is really impressive. Like just from a computational standpoint, it's really, really amazing. The broad club cuttlefish is really famous for being very good at that.
I feel like I need to get my shit together. I'm like,
I can't think to do
squids
anything.
are impressing me too much.
What do you mean?
I have to remember to breathe.
Wait,
No.
I actually do. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. Like, if I'm not actively thinking about breathing, sometimes, like especially when I'm trying to go to sleep, I will not breathe, and then all of a sudden I'm like gasping for air, and I'm like, how am I alive still?
What?
I know.
No,
I genuinely, yes.
You're an involuntary
Babies
breather.
are born right away to breathe. You're thinking about breathing too much, and then you're panicking about it.
No, I'm not saying all the time I have to think.
How did
about
Kelly
breathing.
die? She forgot how to breathe. She forgot breathing.
I really do feel like I just stopped breathing for a while.
I know what you're talking about,
Yes.
but that's like a stress-induced type of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably is.
Yeah.
But
Because we're involuntary breathers. Dolphins are are voluntary. They do have to think about breathing.
I understand that it's involuntary breathing, but there are lots of times where I'm like, oh my God, I haven't taken a breath in so long.
You don't have to remember to breathe. It'll be all right. Just stop thinking about it. You'll be breathing.
I'm so stressed.
I got institutionalized. I got Baker acted for like 48 hours one time in Florida when I was.
You got what?
It's called Baker Act. It's a Florida thing. When people think you're a threat to yourself. I was back in my extreme gambling days. Anyways, I was in this place where there was a lot of people that had different things they were dealing with. And there was a woman that got admitted there, and she thought she was the Virgin Mary, and she kept trying to kill herself by holding her breath. And they said, they said, go ahead. And they just left her in the corner. She kept going. and then she
I'm going to do it.
So I was like, wow, I ended up here. This is good for us. Great job.
They saw you and her as an equal.
I know. That was really a rock bottom moment for me. I was like, wow, this is where I'm at. Okay. Good. Lady's still trying to hold her breath over there. All right.
Happy Mental Health Awareness Month, everyone. I just got a text from CVS.
Get checked for lumps.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Talk to a therapist today.
Oh my gosh. BetterHelp. They sponsor this podcast.
Hey, there we go.
Largest and smallest squid. Jim said the king squid or giant squid size of me, and the baby squid size of a couple golf balls.
Even more extreme than that. The smallest squid is called the Pygmy Squid. They live in Australia and all throughout the Indo-Pacific. They're about the size of like my pinky fingernail, but really skinny.
Yeah, but I don't know how big you are. You might be massive.
I could be the size of a house. You have no idea.
You could be 9 foot tall. I only seen you on film.
That's
size
right.
of your pinky fingernail.
Tiny.
Yeah, very, very small. And then the biggest squid is the colossal squid. Colossal squid are about the length of a yellow school bus. And they're
so
huge.
smaller than Forrest, is it?
Hey.
Yeah, and they're like let's see, this wide. They're pretty big. They're really like round. Yeah, so they're not as like thick as a school bus, but they are as long as a school bus.
What do they eat?
School buses.
Chilean sea bass. They eat Antarctic fish.
They're eating well.
They really are.
In a light coconut sauce.
Loaded baked potato.
Some puns in it.
Vegetable of the
they
day.
eat a lot of lots of food to get that big. Yeah. So they eat. We're not like really 100% sure. They live pretty deep in the ocean. We haven't seen them that many times.
That's because we body shamed them.
Yeah, do we
I
do we ever? Because I've seen on that Iron Chef, when they get the giant squid and he's like, dunk, and he's got like big tentacles and stuff and he has to cook with it. But have we ever eaten the school bus squid, as they're known now?
No. And the reason that we don't is because their bodies are full of ammonia. So they would taste horrible. They taste so gross. And the reason they're full of ammonia is because they're living pretty deep. They don't want to expend a lot of energy on staying like where they are in the water. So they incorporate ammonia into their tissues. Ammonia is less dense than water, so it would float. So they incorporate just enough ammonia into their muscles and tissues so that they stay exactly where they are. So when they want to swim up, they can.
Who eats them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, giant squid, definitely sperm whales eat them. Other whales eat them as well. I don't actually know if sperm whales live in the Southern Ocean. I should know that, but I just don't know. But if they did, I'm sure they would. Somebody probably eats them. I would imagine it would be a whale of some kind. But I don't know for sure.
It's interesting because a giant squid I know is like that. No one's ever, or there was I think they have one on film now, right, or something. But for a while, it was like no one's ever seen one alive. They just found dead ones.
Yeah.
And so the colossal is even bigger than that. Why does it gets no press? No one cares.
I know. I think there's just not enough. So they live in the Southern Ocean. There aren't people living in most parts of Antarctica, so we don't bump into them as much. So the times that we see them tend to be when humans are trying to go fishing for Chilean sea bass, and then the colossal squid's like, "Oh, hey, you've prepared for me dinner. Thank you so much." And then they get stuck on the line and then get pulled up, and then the fisherman's like, "Jesus Christ, what do I do with this?" And so
By the way, the naming got really lazy there. It's like giant squid,
colossal
like,
squid,
pretty big squid,
double big gulp squid,
squid.
Big squid. It's like,
we found the giant squid, and there's like, well, there's no way there's a bigger squid than this squid. And then they were like, oh shit, we found one.
How do they reproduce? Jim said some fucking, and then they lay eggs.
That's accurate. I was like, when he was going between like, do they fuck or do they lay eggs? I'm like, both. They do both. So what's cool about, there's a lot of cool things about cephalopod mating, but one of the things is that the male pretty much hands over in one way, shape, or form spermatophores, which are like a packet of sperm. It's not just like, here's some sperm. It's a package of them that the female can store.
Nice.
And it's like a ketchup packet, basically.
So they don't have an octopus dong?
There is an octopus dong. It's called a Hectocotylus. It's like one of their arms.
Hold on a second.
It was named after a guy called Hector.
Wait, Hectocotylus?
Hectocotylus,
So
yes,
like,
is the
what's a hecto?
cephalopod.
6.
Oh,
Like,
gosh.
Yeah, 6.
I don't know the entomology
hexagon
of the
penis?
Hectocotylus.
Like hectocotylus?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so that's like the sperm delivery thing. And one squid that lives off the coast of California, it's called Octoputhus. Instead of just like being a gentleman and handing the sperm over, which many squid do, whenever they encounter another squid, they punch the sperm through the female or male's torso. Like any squid they encounter, they don't check, they don't say hello, they just punch sperm through, stick it to their like inside of their torso, and then swim away. So I'm very grateful to not be an Octoputhus.
Swim by raping.
Yeah. Tag, you're it.
Yeah. Bleh.
I like how you said they're not a gentleman. They don't just hand the sperm over. Like,
but like some squid really
I once
do,
handed
like,
my
hand
sperm
it
over in a
over.
cup, and I wasn't considered a gentleman.
Yeah,
But with the ketchup
I
packets,
think the exact words were, "You don't even know my name."
you said the sperm comes in like ketchup packets of reproduction, and so you said that the female squid can just hang on to that until she's ready to use them. So they technically have more rights than women in America when it comes to deciding when to have a baby.
Yeah, but they have less rights when it comes to being eaten.
That's true. We mostly
You just wait
don't
till
get
the
eaten
Supreme
by
Court
women.
decides.
You ever heard of Hannibal?
No.
Oh God,
It's illegal.
At least that's not legal.
That's true.
So we got that.
Roe
going
versus
for us.
Applebee's. We'll see.
Fair.
Oh my God. So, but yeah, so they have that option. So they'll often mate with like many males and then have this little collection of spermatophores. And when they're ready to lay eggs, they can be like, I liked him, I did not like him.
Yeah.
And then
that's
choose.
dope.
Don't
to lay
squid
their
shame.
eggs, yeah.
That's what I say. I always say don't
That's
squid
right.
shame.
Don't squid
Sure, you
shame.
just say
Never
that.
squid shame.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
You do that.
Do squids have hearts? So how many?
do.
Jim said they do, and he said 2 through 5.
2, 3, or 5.
yeah.
4's not included.
One of those answers is right. Yeah, they have 3 hearts. They have 1 heart for each of their gills and then 1 heart kind of in the middle to pump the blood kind of all over the place.
Really? So 3. Man, it looks like they don't have enough room for all this stuff. In there, to me.
And there's a
They
hole
really
in the
do.
brain. How do they do all this?
Yeah. Hole in the brain. They got the butt and the siphon. Got a
They do.
beak. This question was just, what do you know about squids? What do you know about the giant squid and the Humboldt squid and other squids? Is there a specific squid that you work with or you know something about, like some interesting squid facts?
I
This
do
should
like
be
that
the-
Jim's answer was, I don't get involved in their personal lives.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one squid that's not getting enough attention is called Magna Pinna. It's also called the big fin squid. They live about 3 miles below sea level. And they're just like incredibly creepy looking. Their bodies are about the same length as a person, ballpark. But then they have these like dangly arms that kind of dangle at like elbow. They kind of look like elbows.
Ooh.
And then they dangle about 8 meters on top of their body, in addition to their body length. So that's about like, a third of a swimming pool ish. And those danglers are basically waiting to bump into food so that they can then grab it and slowly deliver it to their mouths. They live in water that there's not much going on down there. So they really want to maximize their ability to bump into stuff. Look them up.
It kind of reminds me of like the Slender Man of squids.
It's
like
very
it's very
Slender
creepy.
Man vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, a nightmare fuel.
I don't like
for
that.
sure.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
And what kind of squid do we eat like here in the U.S.? Jim said calamari.
That's true. Erytifors is their genus name, aka the market squid. We've got a market squid out on the East Coast. We've got another species out on the West Coast. They look pretty similar to each other. That's the one that we're eating most of the time. Yep.
Why do you have it with a marinara sauce when the cocktail, like that's not the right sauce? It's an
That's a good
American
question.
thing, the cocktail sauce, and it's red. It should be with a nice, creamy sort of tartar sauce or an aioli. Why?
Sometimes we're given both. On the East Coast, we definitely get tartar sauce some of the time.
Much better. The cocktail sauce, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So I just looked at it. Look, the check's out there. I'm gonna try some ammonia squid though. I think so.
Ugh.
Okay, I think we got through all the. Did we do all the? Yeah, we got them. Okay, so this is a part of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We ask our expert to give us a fact, something obscure, interesting that our listeners can use to impress people at dinner party about squid.
Great. Okay, so I have a short fact for you, and then I have a long fact. The short fact is squid blood is blue. The reason their blood is blue, our blood is red because the hemoglobin, the thing that attaches to oxygen in our blood, has iron in it, so it's red. Squid blood has hemocyanin. Hemocyanin has copper in it, and the copper makes it blue. So there's your quick. When you are in dire straits, you need a squid fact. Yep. Squid blood is blue. Now you have it.
I'm always in need of squid facts.
Yeah, you never know. And then the other squid fact is about reproduction. So female squid and cuttlefish, not all squid, it's a long evolutionary story, but let's just say some squid and cuttlefish have this organ inside of them called the ANG. The ANG is like a ball of tubes, and in each tube, there's a different species of brightly colored bacteria. And the reason that they're holding on to all of this bacteria is because when they go to lay their eggs, they take their little embryo in their little sac, and then they cover it with like onion layers of jelly. And in that jelly, they put that bacteria all mixed in with the jelly. And the bacteria will create antibiotics and antifungals to prevent anything from growing on the squid eggs. And there are a bunch of scientists right now that are trying to figure out, like, what are those compounds that they're using? And can we make those into drugs for us? Because we know that antibiotic resistance is a growing problem.
Oh, wow.
But identifying antifungals is also really challenging because a lot of the things that kill fungus also kill human cells. And so finding something that just kills a fungus, but not an animal, is like a beautiful sweet spot. And so we're hoping to find some of those in these little squid.
Well, they've been around for forever. They should have something good.
Yeah. That's right. Got some Neosporin. Good news. Ben is dead.
And you can, well, just the gist is you can make pasta out of that, right?
Yeah. and you
different
can
colors.
make pasta from
different
it.
Yeah.
Antifungal pasta.
Antifungal, fungi pasta.
Well, thank you, Sarah. We know a lot more now about octopuses.
Yeah.
You got any plugs?
Squid. The whole thing was squid, but I would follow Sarah on. I mean, there's cephalopods too, to be fair. But
you probably also learned something about octopuses today. To be fair.
About that.
Follow Sarah on all social media platforms at Sarah McAttack, and also her check out SkypeAscientist.com, as Kelly was talking about it. And also check out her coloring book, the Incredible Cephalopod Coloring Book. You can find it on Amazon. We'll have links to all that stuff, including the Atlas Obscura talk. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being
here.
Thanks
so much for having me. Thanks for talking squid with me.
That was a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at a party and someone comes up to you and goes, you know that squid's blood's red, go, well, I don't know about that. And walk away. Good night, Australia.